slide. Introducing my audience, this is my mom Renee, this is my Uncle Daryl, and this is my Aunt Deanna. My name is Hannah Norton, and I'm from Western North Carolina. Living in Western North Carolina, firearms are a norm here. Hunting is very popular, and every household has a firearm. It is rare to hear of anyone getting hurt due to a firearm. So, it is a more rural community I live in, and due to hunting being popular, more children know more about guns and the safety that you need to know behind them. I've grown up around guns my entire life, and growing up around guns, I've been taught the correct way to handle them, and that yes, they can be a danger. But if you know the danger and know how to handle them correctly, it takes a lot of the danger away, and you know that, hey, I probably shouldn't be using this toward a person like that. So, I've used two videos by Chris Cox, Hypocrisy in My Defense, which can be found on the NRA website, along with a paper on crime and gun control by John Morehouse and another on citizens' integrity by John Snyder. I would like to explain that even though, yes, guns can be a danger, they are only a true danger when they are in the hands of someone who has an intent to use it incorrectly. I think that we should educate our children to use them correctly. That would take some of the danger away. No life is more worthy of armed protection than another. If someone comes into your household with an intent to harm you or your family, you have a right to protect them. I mean, that's in our Constitution. And I also think that regulation should be put on those who can own or attain a firearm. That would reduce some of the crimes committed with a firearm. So I do understand how some individuals are afraid of firearms. They can be a danger. But the danger isn't the firearm here. The danger is the individual who has the firearm with an intent to use it incorrectly. So we need to show our children that they need to use firearms correctly. They aren't a toy. They can seriously hurt people. If we teach them the correct way to use it, it will take some of the dangers away. Children knowing the right way to use a firearm can eliminate incorrect use when they get older. As they grow older, they know the correct way to use them, and this could reduce some of the incorrect use that so many people see and which causes the scare of guns. So I believe that allowing children to learn and handle something that down the road could harm them or someone else is a great idea. Allowing them to understand that firearms are a danger if handled incorrectly makes them more careful when they are actually handling them. So, a quote from the video Hypocrisy by Chris Cox states, "No life is more worthy of armed protection than another. As an American citizen, we have a constitutional right to own and attain a firearm. If an individual comes into your home with an intent to harm you or your family, it is your right to protect them. What if an individual came into your home with an intent to harm you or your family, and you had no way of protecting them? Would you want a gun then? I would. So even if innocent citizens didn't own a firearm, criminals still would. There is a black market, and they would attain a firearm that way. What if a criminal came into your home? They had a firearm and you didn't, and it was pointed at you. What would you want to do? They would still harm you. I understand why some individuals are afraid of firearms. They are a danger. Although, if handled correctly, why should innocent citizens' firearms be taken away from them just because of the few that do handle them incorrectly? Regulations on firearms are a possible way to take away some of the dangers, but not all of the dangers, with firearms. Regulations should be implemented. Regulations would stop some, but not all of the violence with firearms. Regulations would allow the government to further monitor who owns those firearms and keep a closer watch on what's actually happening with a certain firearm. So regulations such as a person with a completely clean criminal record should have no trouble attaining a firearm. If they have any record of violence or abuse, that's when they should be questioned. If they have a record of violence, they're more likely to use a firearm within that violence and critically harm someone. So as stated before, this would not stop criminal offenses containing firearms, but it would likely decrease some of them. If you try to completely take away firearms from those who believe a right to own firearms, which is in the Constitution, it would just start a rebellion. If you want to own a firearm, you're going to own a firearm whether the government wants you to or not. That's not really going to stop anyone. Placing regulations on firearms would just make it harder for criminals to attain a firearm. It wouldn't stop all of the criminal activity, but it would assist in stopping some of it. So, simply owning a firearm and not misusing it is of no harm to anyone. Many like to own them for hunting or even personal safety. becomes an issue is when it is in the hands of someone who has an intent to use it incorrectly. That's when the hazard should be eliminated. Children should be correctly educated. This is very important. It can decrease the dangers down the road. No life is more worthy of armed protection than another. We have a constitutional right to own a firearm. And regulation should be put on those who have violence within their criminal record. That increases the chance of it being used incorrectly. So, what's really the problem with firearms here? Let me pose you with this. If you're eating with a fork and you get fat, whose fault is it? It's the fork's, right? No. Wrong. It's your fault. You were the one putting the food in your mouth. Well, let me pose you with this. If a person is holding a gun and they point it at someone and they shoot that person, whose fault is it? It's the gun's, right?
Nope.
No. Wrong. The gun did not shoot that person. The person pulled the trigger and shot that person. A gun does not just go off. An action has to be on that gun for the trigger to be pulled and for it to go off. Guns are not the big danger here. The person holding the gun with an intent to use it incorrectly is what harms people. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Anna,
Yes.
the website that you showed for the videos, can you give me that later on?
Yeah, I will. It's on the NRA website. They're very good videos.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a gun and have you ever shot one?
I do. My family actually owns a lot of guns, and I have shot them. I've been taught the correct way to use them, and that's why I feel very strongly about this. I mean, the world we live in is very dangerous, and I think we need to be able to protect ourselves.
When I was going to school, they offered hunter safety classes. Do they still do that in the high schools?
They don't offer any safety classes like that in the high schools anymore. I don't feel like they reach out as much toward educating children about things like this as they should, especially with the dangers of the world increasing rapidly in the days we live in. So, any more questions? Nope.